This episode is sponsored by UPMC Altuna Elite Orthopedics. UPMC Altuna Elite Orthopedics is proud to support youth sports across our region and proud to sponsor the 2023 high school football preview on the Altuna Mirror YouTube channel. To learn more about their board-certified orthopedic surgeons and the wide range of orthopedic conditions they treat, or to schedule an appointment in one of their facilities in Hollidaysburg or Bedford, visit upmcaltuna.com/ortho or call 814-889-3600. Okay, here we are. Audition piece for Michael Boytim's Stat of the Week replacement. Take one and action.
Again, with us from the news department, Rachel Ford. Rachel was in marching band in Everett.
Yeah.
So that was a qualification to get her in to talk football.
Yeah.
We want to see how she's doing. What would your stat of the week be?
What's the stat of the week?
Oh,
stat of the week. You have some interesting number.
Yeah, some kind of number, yeah.
I thought I was just here for the cool names segment to see if I was really related to Rooster 4.
What? No,
it's always possible.
Well, one more thing. What was you were at Everett High School. What was your team's record the year you were a senior in marching band?
That was 9 years ago.
Okay, so that's a no. That's a no.
Oh, no.
And you know what, Rachel? Andy and I and Dan will get back to you.
Okay.
We'll let you know.
I still think we were a good choice.
Do I at least get free ice cream?
Yeah, no, it's not in our budget.
Yeah.
It's like that's why we don't have Neil Riddell audition because we can't afford Neil anymore. It's not part of our budget.
Yeah.
No ice cream. That's why we got Rachel's just a reporter. She makes probably the least amount of money in the staff out there. We figure we can afford her, but we'll get back to you, Rachel. We'll get back to you.
Where's Mike?
We'll go like this.
What are we going to do, guys?
I don't know. We're going to find
Where's
somebody.
Mike?
Where's Mike? Do you think Mike misses us right now? Wonder what Mike's doing right now. I just wonder if he's having a good time.
Having a drink, maybe. Yeah.
That's all, folks.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome to week 3 of the high school football show on Mirror TV on YouTube. I am joined by, as you watched in our material before the show began, we are without our football guru Mike Boytim.
He's playing hooky.
But Andy Stein, guru number 2, did not abandon us. And the whole time we were looking for a replacement. We have one right behind the camera.
Yeah, right in front of us.
We're going to bring Dan out as a cameo, kind of like whenever Alfred Hitchcock would direct movies.
That's right.
And he would put himself in the movie and everything. So Dan Isenberg, Dan has covered high school football. In fact, he covered the Bellwood game, the first game of the year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Dan actually started for us back in 2016. Yeah, covering games for us. So Dan's going to chip in here to give Andy and I a breath from talking. But because Mike's not here, in honor of Mike not being here, This is a professional wrestler
That's
that
right.
Mike keeps on his desk.
Yep.
Andy and Dan know who it is.
The mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
Jimmy Hart. So that's
right.
we are thinking of Mike.
Yeah.
We will think of Jimmy Hart. And one more chance, we got a free thing. We got some free stuff.
Yeah, there you go. I hope Mike's having a really good time, by the way. Maybe he's having like a nice alcoholic drink or something like that.
No, non-alcoholic,
No,
something like that.
Yeah, no.
Anyways, our free stuff. Kelly Green, kind of like the Philadelphia Eagles. Kelly, I was told I had to make sure that I mentioned that the Portage Mustangs. We got this from the Portage football program. It's Kelly Green. It's got the Portage Mustang, and I'm told we're allowed to keep it.
Yeah,
which I love that.
awesome.
Hopefully, nobody from the Portage School Board who budgets these stuff there knows about this.
Oh,
So
hey,
we'll
thank you,
return it.
Portage.
We'll return it
They
here.
drop that right
Yeah.
there in the
He's
middle.
gonna put it
of
down,
our
and then we're gonna get
beautiful
right
set.
into
Yeah.
our.
Mouth of the South will keep an eye on it.
There we go. Look how that Mo Valley helmet just dwarfs. It's like
Yeah,
that
that's
head
big
was
win last
huge.
week.
You ever had that
Big win last week.
over Everett? Yep.
Yeah.
We're going to go right into our first games here. Now, remember, do not blame Mike Boytim for any of this because Andy, Dan, and I picked the 5 games out.
That's right.
But it's from a list that Mike left us. Our first game is Altuna 1-1 at Mifflin County 2-0 on the road. Altuna's been on the road, but that was Hollidaysburg.
Yeah.
And I'll throw this name out here. And again, none of these numbers are from Mike Boytim. This is from Max Preps. Mifflin County has a running back named Deacon Schaefer. In 2 games this year, now granted it's against Central Mountain and Chickalemi, they're 2-0. This kid has 6 touchdowns rushing, and he's averaged 199.5 yards per game. I'm going to ask you first because you've seen Altuna.
Yeah.
They did have the win last week over Taylor Alderdice, bounced back. But just based on numbers, this looks like this kid could be trouble.
Yeah, I remember this kid from last year. I covered this playoff game last year.
Okay.
And it was a close game, I remember. I think Mifflin County was winning going into the fourth quarter. But yeah, this kid's a good back. Schaefer, he's not bad. Yeah, and it's also good to see Altuna bounce back from that. That was a tough loss against Hollidaysburg. Yeah, I think they definitely needed that against Alderdice for sure.
What are your thoughts here on this game as far as going on the road against? I got to think Mifflin County is going to be jacked up. They're 2-0 and they're at home. And tell me they wouldn't love more than anything than knocking off the 6A school.
Exactly. Coven Altoona coming to town. They start the season 2-0. I mean, Mifflin County, just based on the fact that they're 2-0, should be really, really excited based off of some of the not so great performances they've had the last couple of years. But they played really, really well last year. They've had a bounce back year. They're starting 2023 off really, really well. And Altuna, for all the success they've had last week against Taylor Alderdice and against Hollidaysburg, even in a losing effort, I think this would be an opportunity where Mifflin County could maybe sneak one and pull off a really big win for them and really get their season rolling.
And I got to think Altuna's coaching staff has to convince their kids that Mifflin County could win this game. Because they can't go in there, especially, and you would hope the Altoona kids remember the game that you talked about.
Yeah, exactly. This was a very close game last year. Mifflin County had their chances to win. So, yeah, they can't take them lightly. And I know, just from talking to some of those people out there through work and everything, I know there's a lot of excitement around the Mifflin County program the last 2 seasons, really.
Our next game, and incidentally, this is going to lead to a later game here, but State College is at Hollidaysburg. I've actually picked, I think, for the first time in my life, I picked State College, and that's with my kids having played at Hollidaysburg. My wife works at Hollidaysburg, but I think I was so mad last week that Hollidaysburg didn't win that game because I really thought I had them going 7-3, and that was with the precipice that they were going to the preface that they were going to win that game last week. So I don't know if I'm picking that because I'm mad to motivate them, but State College. I tried to write down some names and everything for us to talk about. State College, if I find my list here, has a wide receiver named Ty Salazar. In 2 games, he is already averaging 184 yards per game receiving. Mm-hmm. They have this running back, everybody knows about Dante Sheffy. He's a sophomore. Yeah. He has 5 touchdowns so far. And they have a DB, which you and I talked about this before the show. They have a DB named Michael Gall, Gaul. He has 5 picks in the first amazing. 2 games, and it's been a while. I mean, Altoona State College, Hollidaysburg State College. I know my son's senior year was a close game. Last year it was not a close game. My son's junior year it was a blowout. And plus State College is coming off of a loss as well as Hollidaysburg. Yeah. But I mean, what are Hollidaysburg's chances?
I mean, with the powerhouse that State College has been over the years, I mean, probably not great, and yeah, I'm sure Hollidaysburg, they kind of know that too. Yeah, that's gonna be a tough game, and it would have been really nice if they would have won that game last week. You know, have a little bit of a feel good moment. If you go 2-1, that's okay, but. You know, it's tough because that was a close game last year, if I remember right, against Allegheny.
Yeah, they lost by 1 point on field goal.
That's
and
tough.
then State College came in and just, I think, beat us. Beat us.
Yeah. This is going to be a tough one.
How hard is it for Hollidaysburg's coaching staff to convince those kids that they can upset State College?
It might be easier than you think, just based off of the fact that Hollidaysburg's played 2 really close games to start the season. You can tell from watching this team throughout the first couple weeks here, they have the pieces there, and it really does seem like they have everything in place where if they can just have a few more things fall into line, they could really take off here. And just looking at State College on the other side of the ball, they're coming off a tough loss last week that was also really, really close against Downingtown. It came down to a field goal at the end of the game.
Yeah.
This could be something. I know State College has a lot of big kids, a lot of talented athletes on that team. Maybe Hollidaysburg, if they can figure out, learn their lessons from last week, and take advantage of their possessions. Against a team like State College, they have to be able to take advantage of every time they have the football.
Yeah. Our next game, Penn Cambria 1-1 at Forest Hills 2-0. Penn Cambria, who I'm told by Neil Rudell, who covered that first game for us against Richland, Penn Cambria could be 2-0 going to this game.
Right.
And I did not think Forest Hills would be 2-0 because I thought Clearfield was going to beat them.
Yeah.
And just to give you some Penn Cambria names again, the disclaimer on this thing, not Mike Boytim. This is Max Preps. Right now, Gavin Harold, their leading receiver, Carter McDermott, leading rusher, Thomas Plunkett, leading rusher. Carter McDermott actually is one of the top receivers with Gavin Harold. Their quarterback is Brody Jones. Forest Hills at 2-0. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Forest Hills has kind of been like.
And I remember
Forest Hills used to be a juggernaut.
Oh yeah, right. And I remember last week when Mike came back, he said he was talking to somebody else from another paper. He was talking about how good Forest Hills is this year. It sounds like they have a lot of horses. So yeah, Penn Cambria might be in for a tough one this week.
Before there was Tyrone and BG, Forest Hills dominated this district for many, many years, and it was a very welcome and pleasant surprise for me to see Forest Hills start the season so strong. Against a Clearfield team that gave Tyrone a lot of fits week 1. Penn Cambry's going on the road for this one. I really like their chances regardless, but Forest Hills is proving that they're going to put up a fight each week no matter who they have on the schedule.
See, and I picked Penn Cambria just because it's based on that Richland game, and it has nothing to do with the fact that I drink from a Penn Cambria cup,
a good cup
every week, because this cup keeps my Pepsi Zero, and I'm not trying to get a free plug there.
Oh.
It keeps it ice cold refreshing.
We should try to get a free plug.
I did. I would.
Pepsi.
But here's our big game now, and again, this leads me back to the Hollidaysburg pick. Tyrone and Central. And I even asked my brother's blessing. I said, I'm thinking of picking Central. I mean, Central's put up ridiculous points.
What did he say?
He said, go ahead, I don't care.
Okay.
He did. He goes, maybe my kids will read the mirror and get motivated by that. I thought, oh, gee, I'm glad I can be used. I hate it when coaches use me to motivate their teams for being, I don't want to get into anything.
You hate to be bulletin board
material. I hate
material.
to be bulletin board material unless it's something happens.
Even if you have that beautiful new mugshot.
Yes, I do.
That's
but
right.
Listen to some of these Central numbers. It's just ridiculous. Jacob Benton, receiver for Central, 2 games, he's averaging 151.5 yards per game. Max Preps. Eli Moodler, even though it's spelled Moodler, and I've called it Moodler for 20-something years, and nobody ever corrected me until last week.
I had no idea.
But it's Eli Moodler. He has 6 TD passes in 2 games. They've won, I think, 49-0 and 42-6.
Both 2 blowouts.
Yeah. And then Tyrone has their own. Of course, there are no stats on Max Preps for Tyrone. And I'm going to say whose fault that is. But Ashton Waugh, he has Brady Ronan, has Andrew Weaver. They still don't have Draven Kroll.
I think it's Crow.
Who they could really use. But, I mean, this also could be a game that's high scoring. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, and the one thing I can say about this game for sure is I looked up the records from this game. They haven't played in the regular season since 2019. It's been 4 years now. It's a lot of they played each other in playoffs last year. And I know I felt pretty good for the kids now because I know just from working in Tyrone for many years, those Tyrone kids they look at the central rivalry almost as important as the Bellwood rivalry. I would guess. So
it's become that.
It has become that, yeah. So it's good to see them playing again. I was excited to hear that they were going to be playing again this season in week 3 too.
Do you give Tyrone? This is at Central. Do you give Tyrone a decent shot at this?
I give them a puncher's chance simply because, almost with the exception of a oddball year here and there, Tyrone and Central pretty much always play right down to the wire all the time. It's the score doesn't always reflect it. Sometimes one team or the other is pulling away and it looks like a 2-score game there at the end. But more often than not, both teams are playing very, very tough against each other. And like you said, Andy, these are two teams that consider themselves big rivals. And I know, speaking from the Tyrone perspective, Tyrone fans view this game just as big a game, if not bigger than the Bellwood game some years.
The one thing we can guarantee about this game is the 50-50 at this game Friday night will be huge.
Big.
I can remember years ago, once it was a playoff game, it was Tyrone, I believe it was Central. The 50-50 ended up over $1,000.
That's insane.
It was absolutely nuts, and I didn't win. I would love to have won.
Speaking on that note, get there early because parking parking's going to be at a premium, and it will likely be standing room only.
You might want to get there Thursday night. I kind of camp
Even if it
out.
was at Tyrone, and you could say the same thing about Tyrone too.
And our last game, we're going to talk about Cambria Heights at Portage. Cambria Heights is 1-1, Portage 2-0, and again, I want to throw some Max Prep stats at you. Cambria Heights, right now they have a kid named Steven Nelson. He has 3 rushing TDs. He's averaged almost 100 yards per game first 2 games. Defensively, this one jumped out. They have a kid named Jackson Klein, spelled with 2 X's, and he's averaging 11.5 tackles per game. And on Portage, your line guy, Isaac Walensky, 184 yards rushing per game. And Bodie Leo is averaging 9.5 tackles per game for Portage.
Nice defensive stats for sure. And I've heard a lot about the Walensky kid. He's our athlete of the week this week. Just outstanding, at least the first couple weeks for sure. Cambria Heights, I know they got on the board this week. I think it was 39-7 over Marion Center, I believe. I'm kind of interested in this one, just to see where it lands and see where the chips fall for both teams.
And Portage, they had to come back there. A lot of theatrics at the end of their game to get to 2-0 this week. It's an intriguing matchup. This one. I don't really have much to say on either of these teams, but I'm looking forward to a big game from both of them.
We're gonna. I guess our stat of the week from Mike, other than Danny. Look, I called you Danny.
Come on.
Hey, I didn't. Who's Danny?
Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito. I always get you two mixed up when I look at you and I think of Danny DeVito.
I'm like,
or what about veteran character actor Danny Aiello? There you go.
There we go.
No, since Mike, this is the second year Andy had the best stat. This is the second year in a row that Mike's left us during the season for a vacation. So the number is 2. 2 years in a row that Mike has abandoned us. But we somehow survived. I will survive, as Gloria Gaynor sang. I want to go to everybody's, before we do a series, we're going to do a serious thing here, but real quick, I'm going to do our cool names. One of them you've already heard, the other one you have it, I have, and Dan will have it spread across. Holliesburg has a kid on their team named Nick Chisholm. So it just sounds like a private detective's name. He'd be like, there's like Shaft, and all these other cool cop names and everything, but Nick Chisholm. And his dad's an assistant coach on the team, his name's Rod Chisholm and Nick Chisholm. I just think Nick Chisholm, I just love the sound of it. If he doesn't end up as a football player, I think he could be like a private detective or a cop. And the other name is, I already said it just because I love how it's spelled. Cambria Heights kid, Jackson Klein. Look on your screen there. It's Jaxxon. Jackson Klein. I just like the name of that. Maybe he could be like a folk rock singer or something like that. But I love how mom and dad decided to spell that name. Jackson Klein. That's our cool names here. But now the one thing we get serious at...
Line of the week.
Line of the week. Before we get this, I apologize.
Jihad! Short steps. Short steps are better than long steps.
I was trying to give you 2 segments here.
Yeah, I know, right? All right. Line of the week. We were talking about Portage just now. A lot of that. We have 435 rushing yards for Portage last week. That was outstanding. I thought to myself when I heard that, easy line of the week. Let's see. We got left tackles. We got 2 guys for left tackle: Nick Somerville and Brock Miko. We got left guard Jake Nolan. We got center Skylar Scarton. Right guard, I hope I don't butcher this, Aodhan Ritchie, Aodhan. I have no idea if that's Aodhan.
Or just Odin.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. Right tackle, Josh Harshberger and Fence Rocker. Name
Fence from last year. Cool name. Fence Rocker.
Tight end, Marty Slant told me he thinks this guy could be one of the best blocking tight ends in the area, Bodie Leo. Awesome job for those guys. Another note, though. I was supposed to mention this week 1, and I apologize I didn't. Mo Valley quarterback, Zach Reefer. I was told that he threw a touchdown pass and he hit a hole-in-one in golf in the same week, which, hey, pretty impressive.
In a small school, you can do that, play 2 sports. How about
Well, he wasn't playing competitively. Him and his whole family.
It's still a hole-in-one's a hole-in-one.
That's amazing. Right. If I ever hit a hole-in-one, I'm retiring from golf on the spot. So,
But we're going to do a serious note here for a second. For those of you who follow high school football around the area, if you don't, he'll give you more details on this, but there was a young man, a quarterback, I guess it would be District 10.
District 9.
District 9, Karn City, was injured real badly in a high school game last Friday night. In fact, enough that my wife was following it on the internet as far as news things. You tell us more about the kid's name and the injury.
I didn't hear about this until after I went home Friday night. I know things are really crazy in here on Friday nights, so I didn't hear anything until after deadline. But the kid's name is from Karn City, Mason Martin. Suddenly collapsed on Friday night during the game. It was a very scary situation. It was a significant brain bleed, they put it, and also a collapsed lung. Apparently, the collapsed lung is better. He's doing the last report. The last update was Monday. We filmed this Tuesday. It's from everything we heard Monday. It's improving. His collapsed lung is better. They
were asking for prayers, I know, over the weekend. He actually came off the field. The ump
here we go.
went over and looked at him and said, "Son, are you all right?" And he said, "No, I'm not." And he asked for help, and then he collapsed.
His mom wrote on Facebook on Monday, "Within the last 24 hours, Mason has demonstrated some purposeful movement in his arms. His eyes have slightly reacted to light. He's also retracting his legs when his toes are pinched." So, very good news, very good progress.
The continued prayers, too. Continued prayers, because, I mean, that's, we sit here and kid and joke about high school football, and we talk about high school football, but they are kids, and stuff like this does happen. It just doesn't happen around our area until that's, thankfully, it hasn't happened around Central PA for us.
And I know a lot of people. I covered District 9 football for a few years. I know a lot of good people out that way. I had college teammates from Karn City. It's just that one hit me hard when I heard about it.
And they love their football up there.
Absolutely.
We wish him well.
We like to forget that football is a violent sport sometimes, so best of luck and prayers to that young man and his family.
Yeah. All the best.
And that's going to do it here for week 3. Hopefully Mike doesn't have too good of a time that he decides to become a cruise director and stay on whatever the line he's on. Is it the Love Boat or something?
Maybe.
He's on that Love Boat there with Julie and Isaac and Doc and all those guys. But for Dan Isenberg, I did not call you Andy Griffith or anything.
No,
I call you Dan. What do I call you?
Danny.
You call me Danny DeVito.
I call you Danny, but he's Dan. Anyways, I'm Scott Franco. I will always be that. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.